Hello. Hello, everyone. Good morning if it's morning. Good, whatever time of day it is for you, wherever you are. And welcome to the Sustainable Productivity Workshop. My name is Melissa Ike. It is day 3 of AWC 2025. And I've heard so many glowing reviews from absolutely everyone who has been participating this year. What a weekend. What a weekend. And I've also heard everybody say that they're just so looking forward to the playlists and going back and seeing everything because looking at that playlist and I was sort of preparing for what I wanted to prioritize among the workshops. And I'm like, well, every single one of them holds tremendous value. I can tell just from the title. So it makes it really hard to prioritize. So good job, AWC leaders, for just making it all so good. Just making it really tough on all of us to figure out what the heck to do. I'm just kidding, of course. So impressed every single year with this workshop and the work that goes into it. Speaking of which, well, is it going to go? There we go. I know it's the last day, and from what I can tell, oh, hi, Rita. From what I can tell, probably everybody here has been participating the whole time, but for anybody who's watching a replay, links for AWC are down in my description. You can find all of this information here. I would draw your attention especially to the AWC feedback form, which if you fill that out, you will be entered for giveaways. And who doesn't like a giveaway? I mean, honestly, who doesn't? I suppose there are some people who don't, but I don't understand someone who doesn't like a giveaway. And then also something fun they're doing this year is a speaker awards voting form. So whoever made the biggest impression on you, or if a topic really resonated with you, you can fill that out. Thank you again to our AWC sponsors, WTC Creatives and Later Press. And of course, thank you to all of the AWC leaders who've done such a fantastic job. All of the volunteers, what an incredible team it takes to put something like this together. And special thanks to my moderator, Sam Wicker, whose presentation yesterday is one you should definitely catch. That was really fun. And I found myself giggling throughout it. And you don't always expect such a thing at an online writing conference. Actually, though, I have cracked up multiple times during every single presentation I have watched, which to me just is a real sign of quality and honestly, the culture that has been built with AWC. Real quick, if you haven't already, you're going to get the most out of this workshop today. Sorry, I just had to, and now I'm laughing in my own workshop. So thanks, Margaret. You're going to get the most out of this workshop today if you do grab the downloadables below. And if I can take a minute, I can show them to you. One moment, please. So it's just a couple of pages. I mean, they are set up so if you want to print them, if you have that capability, you can. But also, let me try and zoom in here. But you could also, I'll be showing these while we do our activities today. And so you could just jot some things down on a piece of paper if you want as well. And now I'm switching back and forth between screens. And there we go. And then also, if you haven't already, you can fill out my sustainable productivity questionnaire that is also linked below in my description. And I'm sure Sam will put that in the chat as well. This is a lot. I think a lot of you probably filled it out. I'm just guessing, but I created this productivity questionnaire based so much on my own experiences, which led me to create this workshop and the writing that I do about it, and also research. And when I've delivered this workshop to others, what they tell me is that they've discovered helpful insights about their productivity style recognizing things that might be hindering them more than they thought. You enter your email address just so that it gets automatically emailed to you. And then if you complete it by the end of the day today and opt into my monthly newsletter, then you will be entered into a drawing for the full Sustainable Productivity Workshop, which leads me to my next slide. This today is just a snippet. I just gave this full workshop just on Wednesday to a nonprofit ministry in South Africa, and it took us a little over 2 hours to go through it. And I'm going to be creating an online course version, but we had just a little bit of time today for me to share with you some thoughts that can maybe kind of get your juices flowing and give you a little piece of that value today is my hope. So today what we're going to talk about, what you will take away, is this idea of survival mode versus sustainable productivity. Reflecting on your productivity characteristics, we're going to take a look at some global results of that sustainable productivity questionnaire. You're going to think about your natural energy flow and how you can adapt when your energy flow shifts, as it inevitably does as we navigate life. I'm going to give you some tools to assess your tasks and your goals with maybe some new strategy you haven't thought about before, and some self-compassion, big component. And then we're going to explore some ways to align your time and your energy and your responsibilities so that you can protect your creative energy. And this kind of, what I'm presenting to you today, though, you can apply to every area of life. If you have a full-time job or a part-time job or whatever work you do, if you don't write full-time, if you do write full-time, the administrative and marketing work associated with writing, your daily life responsibilities at home, and then your actual creative work. It is broadly applicable. And here's what we're going to do. First of all, there's going to be activities featuring the aforementioned downloadables. I'm going to have 4 activities with those. I'm going to give you a couple of minutes. It's sort of like if you participate, I think everyone here has participated in sprints. So I'll give you like 2 or 3 minutes to do each step of the activity that will lead you through today. We're going to do some analysis. And so the more you participate with those activities, the more you'll benefit. And then hopefully you'll discover some new patterns, maybe some areas of life where you can free up some time for what matters. The marketing grind. It is a grind, Alex. Thank you for saying so. Agree. Okay, and with that, friends, I'm going to be moving fast because I want to give you plenty of time. Well, okay, what did it just do? I want to give you plenty of time to do the activities. So let's move on to section 1. So this idea of survival mode is something I came up with because this is where I found myself for so many years. I'm not going to go too much into my story because I want this workshop, the limited time we have, to be about you. If we have time in the Q&A, maybe I can talk about it a little bit more. But about 10 years ago, after becoming a lawyer, I co-founded a nonprofit in Oklahoma City that serves survivors of human trafficking. We started with nothing. And in less than 10 years, I am in charge of fundraising about $1.5 million and growing this nonprofit, building it totally from scratch, scaling it. And it has all moved really fast. We've served over 1,000 human trafficking survivors. Our little nonprofit, our little team, in less than 10 years, triaged over 12,000 calls to our 24-hour helpline. And then on top of building all of that from scratch, figuring it out as I went, then that was in 2016. In 2017, I decided I could no longer ignore the call on my heart to write. Most of my writing is nonfiction. And I was like, how on earth am I going to do that? And I found myself stuck in survival mode. And that was a real hindrance to me. The way I define survival mode is a reactive mindset that traps us in a constant cycle of urgency, narrows our focus to whatever is screaming the loudest at the moment, literally or figuratively. So instead of creating, building, or thinking ahead, we're putting out fires, juggling deadlines, missing important tasks, and losing breathing room that we desperately need for inspiration and strategy to take hold to move us forward. And then, as I found over time, survival mode just reinforces itself. And we find ourselves stuck in this loop, which really can lead to burnout. I spent many years with survival mode as my norm. And I'm not going to harp on this too much, but it really can take a toll. This probably isn't news to anybody here, but I mean, here's a whole menu of ways that staying stuck in survival mode can really negatively affect us. For me personally, when I look at this list, I know I experienced exhaustion and sleep disruption, crashing on the weekends, and then just like holding on for dear life during the week. Digestive issues for me. Maybe that's TMI, but we're being vulnerable here, right? Since I was a kid, this was an issue. And I know that it was related to stress. Anxiety and hypervigilance, all the way. Negative self-talk and shame loops, 100%. Mental health support really has helped me with this, going to therapy, getting that kind of support. But what I'm sharing today can complement things like getting mental health support and other steps that you might take to make more time in your life. Here's how it can show up in creatives, myriad ways, of course, but these were the ones that stood out to me when I was thinking about it. Shutting down creative thinking, 100%. Decision fatigue, yes. Neglecting personal needs. I'm like, you're hungry again? What are you, human? Be a machine. Inside joke with my friends. Literally, I would think these things to myself. Staying stuck in fight or flight mode, 100%. And then, as we heard from Michael Laron, I'm going to touch on this a little bit more, disconnecting from our purpose, disconnecting from writing. And then that can just lead us to burnout. So what's the opposite of survival mode? Well, what I worked up was this idea of sustainable productivity, not just doing more, which is what I used to push myself to do, and it would just keep me stuck in survival mode. Sustainable productivity, breathing room. It's a balanced approach to managing our time, our work, and our well-being that fosters steady progress while working to prevent burnout. It's not a magic formula, right? We're still going to experience those things, but it can lessen that. At least that is what has happened in my life and other people who've engaged with this. So instead of constantly reacting only to immediate pressures, whatever screaming the loudest, this helps us prioritize thoughtful planning and equips us with adaptable systems for handling our workload. It can make it possible for us to thrive. And I don't say that lightly. I don't mean it to be trite, but to thrive rather than just survive and live a life, not life a life. Live a life that actually works. I don't say it lightly because this has been my experience. Everything I share with you today, I formulated step after step for years, just trying to figure out how to make a life that actually works so that I didn't lose mission, so that I didn't lose my drive, so that I didn't stay stuck in burnout, so I could keep going and doing what I loved and then actually enjoying it. So this is why I think sustainable productivity is so applicable to creatives specifically. It's going to be applicable to a lot of people. I've presented this mostly to like nonprofit workers, people who are working with people who have experienced trauma. But I think this is applicable to creatives because, one, your time and energy are your most valuable resource. They have to be protected. Your creative energy is the foundation of your business and your writing, everything you're doing. But also creative energy can be fleeting. And sometimes we have moments when it arrives and then life crowds that out. And so sustainable productivity, the goal is to teach you how to adapt your approach to whatever your energy flow looks like in a given moment. You're probably juggling a full-time job or some kind of job. If you're a full-time mom, absolutely, or a full-time parent, the admin work of writing, just life's responsibilities. We're all juggling so much, and then that can take away from our creative energy. But by managing time and energy, we can make space for productivity and creativity so we can maximize how we tap into that. Actually, let me back up. What was so interesting, what I've seen so far with AWC, first of all, Michael Laron was talking about this kind of thing exactly in his keynote. And then I know I haven't watched this yet, but Mel from Power Play Press yesterday did a presentation on writing with a full-time job. And then Alex, who is right here, I believe, is presenting in the next section about how finding time to write with young kids. I'm like, this is something that we are all desperately craving. It's something that we're trying to find solutions for. And I believe, without having seen these other presentations, I just know in my heart that these all complement each other. It's about knowing ourselves, embracing our reality, how we work, how we're wired, and then learning to work with that instead of against ourselves. I was so excited to see this real theme of presentations at AWC, because this is how we make this work. With like, you have to have like the practical tools and systems in place to make that space for the imagination, the creativity, and the curiosity. I have a real beef with typical time management systems. Listen, there's not anything inherently wrong with them. And in fact, with this that we're doing today, and then in my full workshop, I do incorporate different types of time management strategies. My issue with it is the shame that it can promote. For years, when I was trying to figure out, how to survive, I'm going to Google once again, how do I manage my time? What are some strategies? And they sometimes wouldn't even work for a day, because they kind of would assume this perfect world. My reality did not fit into what they were suggesting. They can be one size fits all, the same stuff kind of regurgitated everywhere across the internet. If you're not familiar with how you work personally, it can be really hard to adapt those to your needs, which then in my experience leads to feelings of shame or failure. Maybe I'm alone in that, but that was definitely something that I experienced. So what makes sustainable productivity different is that it sees your reality, your pain points, your characteristics, your workload, your workflow, your energy flow, and then helps. What this is going to do, hopefully, is get you to think about how you can use these strategies, but then adapt them to wherever you are in life. You're going to see when we do the activities in a little while. That'll be like a good illustration of that. Margaret says, I think I've learned that while there may be times when white knuckling is the right course. Okay, I'm going to address that too, 100%. Yes, Margaret, thank you. Yeah, sometimes they don't really work for creatives. I agree. Oh, here's the rest of what Margaret said. You can't pull that string on the vest too often. It's much better to accept that there's a flow and an expansion contraction cycle. I like that a lot, Margaret. Yeah, so here's the thing about sustainable productivity, and you'll see this in a slide kind of at the end. Absolutely, like, you can't ever just be free of survival mode, because stuff happens. I mean, you can have the best plan in the world and it's just shot by, 9:00 in the morning. And then there's also going to be like events that come up that you either plan for or catch you by surprise. And they push you right back to this place where you really don't have a choice but to handle what's right in front of you. An example of that for me is like, this annual fundraising event that my nonprofit used to do, emphasis on used to do, and I'm really glad we don't do it anymore. And I would plan that thing out for months, but didn't matter. 6 weeks before that event happened, that's all I was doing. I went into survival mode, white knuckling it, because that's what I had to do to get through to the event, right? The purpose of these tools, though, is then when the event, whatever life event, planned or not, calms down, then you're like, okay, so where am I? What do I do? How do I break free from now just continuing to handle whatever is right in front of me? And that's what this can help with. It's like, for me, these tools that I've developed, it's like they're just waiting there. They're like, okay, this is where the self-compassion comes in. You got to do what you got to do. And when you are ready, I'm right here. You can re-engage with me, to get things back under control. And I have done that time and time and time again. And I have found a lot of comfort in knowing that I have an approach to kind of get myself back on track. So that's what I want to share today. Oh, hi, Maggie. I see you. Okay. Let's take a look at some global results from the productivity questionnaire as it stands now. I think what I've heard from people about the productivity questionnaire is it has kind of opened their eyes to maybe aspects of productivity or tasks, hindrances that maybe they hadn't fully put together before were maybe a bigger deal and a bigger pain point than they realized. And what I want to draw attention to is the fact that knowing what's going on can really reduce frustration. At least, that's what I experienced as well. Like, why am I so stressed out? What is getting in my way? And when I started really identifying specific pain points in my life and then making a plan of attack for those, it was just creating a little bit more space and then a little bit more space and then a little bit more space. So that in addition to building this nonprofit from scratch, that's highly intensive work over the last 10 years. I've also been writing and like building this whole other thing that I'm sharing with you today that wouldn't have been possible if I hadn't taken the steps to begin with. So that's kind of interesting. Let's take a look at some AWC results from the questionnaire. I won't share anybody's individual results at all. But that's some things were kind of interesting. Let's see here. Did I skip it? There we go. Okay. So one of the biggest ones that people mentioned as a pain point was distraction followed by interruptions, calls, texts, emails, that kind of thing. Interesting, because we're going to address this exactly in one of the activities. Perfectionism, relatable, and then procrastination. Absolutely. And so then I'm going to draw our attention to another result here in a couple minutes. Keep in mind this idea of procrastination here in a second. Put a pin in it. Practical lifestyle pain points. So there were some issues with a couple of these questions where they weren't available right away. They were not on the form, so there were fewer responses, but we'll use the data that we have. Okay, clutter and tidying up is a big practical lifestyle pain point. Cleaning tasks, laundry, and grocery shopping and errands, same. These are this is actually where I started in my life with the tackling, trying to figure out some kind of sustainable productivity. I started with these kinds of areas and making a plan like, all right, when do I have the time to tackle these? And how can I make a plan for this so that these things are handled, but they don't suck up so much of my time? It would feel like this was all I was doing in my free time, and I wanted to do other things in my free time. And so I started with this kind of thing. The grocery shopping, I'm going to draw your attention to something I can offer you at the end that might help with that. So keep that in mind as well. Productivity and mental health. So anxiety, overwhelm, reduced creativity. I mean, that, I know that there's only 11 responses because of the aforementioned issue with some of these questions, but like reduced creativity, that's a real issue for creatives, right? What can we do to maybe make a little more space for that and protect that creative energy? Okay, let's see. I just highlighted a few of these productivity characteristics. I thought this is interesting just for fun. So 61% said that they need to block out movement and visual stimulation to stay focused. And then some feel more focused in like a cozy or stimulating environment. I don't know. I was like, interesting. No further commentary, but I think that it's helpful to know about ourselves. I know it has been for me. Okay, so earlier when we saw that result that said procrastination, and then I saw this result with productivity characteristics. I have lots of ideas and start strong, but struggle to finish, 42%. And then And then I'm good at finishing tasks once the steps are clearly laid out. So this is a little bit something I think that what we're doing today can help people in both of these categories. To me, this is indicative of like maybe a factor that contributes to procrastination. I know a lot of different things can contribute to that, but this is maybe something that we could do something about. Okay, what am I seeing over here? When I don't want to do something, format I tend to clean. Yes, Sam, do I have that? I do. Oh, one moment. Well, if I can. All right. So, productivity characteristics, procrastination tendencies. Thank you for pointing it out, Sam, because here we go. Down here, procrastinating by doing chores, 42% of the respondents. And then also, I think that that's related. This full thing says I procrastinate by doing fake productivity, which is like emails, organizing, like I'm working, I am doing important things right now. It doesn't move my creativity forward, but it does. I can convince myself of it. Oh, I so relate to that. Let me just go ahead and answer all of these text messages and all of these emails that I could answer tomorrow or the next day and nobody would notice. And then this up here, 57% said they avoid tasks that feel overwhelming. Absolutely relatable. And then here's another thing. You see this pattern. I avoid tasks that are unclear or confusing. So we're going to look at that with these activities today. Let's see here. The real side quest is growing. Oh, so true, Margaret. Yes, beautifully said. Doing important things. Cue cat typing on keyboard in chaos. Side quests are totally productive. You know what, Sam? No, absolutely. They can be. It's true. But my problem is when I get into the side quest instead of them like procrastinating, whether it's working on a presentation, doing my 20th grant application in the last month, not an exaggeration. I'm like, no, this side quest over here. Yes, this is much more satisfying or at least easier on my brain. And then, okay, no surprise that your ideal activities, if you had more time, journaling and writing and reading, I was like, well, of course, I could have guessed that those would be the highest results for AWC. But there's some other things here too that I thought were interesting. Mental health, nutrition and exercise, and then a big one, spending time with our people. Okay, so if we had a little more breathing room, if we could find a way to have more breathing room in life, these are the things that we would want to do. And these are all things that I relate to and why I started working on this to begin with. So let's move on to section 3. Guys, I'm only 3 minutes behind my schedule. Frankly, I'm impressed with that because I would much rather like chat for longer, but we're doing the dang thing. So this is where you could go ahead and grab the printables. I'll bring those back up on screen, the applicable ones as we're working on them. And you can also, if you download them, view them to just like, jot down your answers by hand if you want. So, all right, let's do some activities. I love activities. I love worksheets, and they just make me happy. I don't know about you, but I have a team, all of my staff members at Dragonfly, that's the name of my nonprofit. When I produce a worksheet of some kind for them to do, they're like, oh, yay. And I'm like, I know, me too. So there you go. I have thus gifted you worksheets. All right, so let me switch my presentation. All right. Here's the first thing that we are going to do. We're going to do the first 2 activities center on this printable. So the first part, I'm going to give you about 2 minutes to fill out your energy flow. So for a while, I would think to myself, well, on Mondays, I feel this way. On Tuesdays, I feel this way. But then I would notice that my energy wouldn't necessarily line up on the days I expected. And when I started really breaking it down like this, I realized that my energy levels could be different throughout the day and different on all the different days. And I have seen this reflected with people that I've presented this to. And not just that, but I literally used this worksheet for myself 2 weeks ago because I was struggling to figure out when I had the right energy to approach things. And so I filled out the worksheet and I was like, you know what? Mondays used to be a day where I could really focus on XYZ type of activity. That's no longer the case. I don't know what happened, but that's not it anymore. And I shifted the way I approached my week. And oh man, the things that I was achieving just at work and then also for my side business, it skyrocketed. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, really? The worksheet I created when I used it for myself actually worked. I don't know. That seems almost silly, but it was so true. I was like, oh, I guess this actually works for people. So first of all, I'm going to give you 2 minutes and I shall set the timer on my phone. And you are going to fill out if your energy is low, medium, or high, just generally speaking. For those of you who filled out the questionnaire, you'll receive my Creative Productivity Starter Kit. I'm going to provide a tracker that will help you track this exact thing for a while to see, if you want to be like, well, what is my week actually like? But give it a shot. And you're going to leave this blank for now. And you're going to write your energy levels after the colon here. Can you see that after? Let me zoom. So energy flow, low, medium, or high goes here. And I did it for the whole week because I bet a lot of us are working on the weekends, whether it is on writing or, some other kind of work or like freaking doing the laundry. Or that's when we spend time with our people. So I'm going to stop talking, leave this side blank, and just go ahead and rate your energy levels. 2 minutes on the clock. I'm going to mute myself. All right, time's up. Oh, hi, Nora. Good to see you here. Thank you for stopping in. All right, next up. I'm really enjoying your comments. I didn't get a chance to reply to everybody. But I saw that Rita, for sure, not a morning person. I mean, that's so good to know. And then Sam, this made me laugh. That will never leave you. the 20 years of retail work, your body's just like, I gotta be ready for it. I gotta sell some stuff to some people. I hope that's helpful that your energy levels do that. Okay, next thing we're going to do is we're going to attempt to expect the unexpected. Now, hear me out. And that's what this column on the left is for. I could not tell you the exact time when I'm going to get text messages from my staff or my fellow directors at Dragonfly, when I'm going to get emails from people who need something from me. Of course, I don't know that specifically, but I realize I could generally estimate, for example, in the morning from 7 to 10, I'm not going to hear from anybody. I might have emails from the day before to respond to, but during the weekdays at that time is not when I'm going to get interrupted. And also, I mean, I'm going to get, I know the pattern of interruptions I could get in afternoons from 2 to 5. That's a little bit less, but midday, 10 to 2, that is when there's going to be an influx. And so when I know those patterns, I can plan ahead for those by either creating the time where I know I'm going to get interrupted, and that's no big deal because I'm expecting it. And I've used the other times to do tasks that are really hard to get back to if I'm interrupted, or I'm going to use these times I'm going to set a boundary around some of that time. So 10 to 11 on a Tuesday morning, I'm going to let my people know, hey, I'm doing a block of work. And so if you text or call, I will get back to you afterward. I'm considerate about it, but I set those boundaries. It's not perfect because it's trying to expect the unexpected. But when I have brought this up to people and asked them to do it, not everyone, but a lot of people are able to identify patterns. And so here you go, 2 more minutes, and just like put a little mark down the times when interruptions are likely. Here we go. All right, time's up. Okay, now you're going to set this one to the side, and we're going to take a look at what I am calling a mini task analysis. I called it the mini task analysis, but then I was looking at this and I'm like, well, there's like 25 or I don't know, 30 slots on here. So it can be as mini or maxi as you want. But for this purpose, what I would like you to do is identify let's say for the time that we have 5 to 7 tasks that are maybe common for you. Maybe they're weighing on you. Maybe there's something that you do frequently. You can choose. And let me zoom in. You're going to write down those tasks. Just it can, and then look at this. Look at this. Look at it. Can be a work task, and you can define that however you want. It can be life. And so maybe that is like what we talked about, these pain points, decluttering, running errands, grocery shopping, that kind of thing. I added admin on here because you might be in a position like people are in this chat who have admin work that you need to do related to writing, or as our friend Andy does, who just popped in, creating videos, that kind of thing. You might have admin work related to it. And then there's also creative work. This is actually creating the things. So just take 2 more minutes, write them down. And then I would like you to add the type of task: work, life, admin, creative, or if you have another type that you want to use, that's fine. And then I would like you to assess your stress level for each task, 1 being the lowest, 5 being the highest. We're talking in generalities here. We're not going to be perfectionistic about that. There's no judgment. This is literally something that I say to myself, Melissa, don't be perfectionistic about it. Talking about generalities, and doesn't have to be super highly specific. You are the expert at your life. So go ahead and I'm going to give you a couple minutes to do that. Now, you might be like Andy and have stress level infinity. So the whole point of this is to, adapt this to what you need. So if you need to put stress level infinity, then you go for it, my friend. Okay, 2 minutes to write down your task, 5 to 7 tasks, put the type of tasks, and then the stress level associated. Here we go for 2 minutes. I just saw the comment about the cats and how they are interruptions. You know what? I don't think I can help you with that. I think that is just your life. And I just don't think that there's any solution. So sorry, you have reached the limit of what this presentation can do for you. It really made me laugh. Okay. So for our last activity, this is something that can tie this together. That is my hope. And this is where I have, this is an example of how sustainable productivity can equip you with a plan to maybe approach things. Maybe this is how you always approach things, but maybe this will be new for you. What you're going to do is you're going to now put all of this together. You're going to take a look at your energy levels and your likely interruptions. And what I want you to do, and this is where I always wish that I could be with people in person, I want you to take a look at the patterns that you have here. For example, is there a time when you have high or medium energy and interruptions are maybe less likely to occur? You can circle those times, make a note of them somehow. Or are interruptions less likely to occur during times that you are low energy? Excuse me. You can circle that as well. But what you're going to find here is during times that you've identified where maybe you're less likely to have interruptions, how does your energy level line up with that? When we can see those patterns, what I've noticed is with everybody I've talked to and presented this to so far, people find chunks of time available to them that they just might not have considered in the past. And they find chunks of time where they might be able to sprint and take advantage and make a plan to maximize those times. Or if you have a period of high energy where interruptions are likely, especially non-emergency interruptions, building boundaries around those times. Well, a person that I just presented to, I was doing some one-on-one coaching for her just recently. She was like, man, I have so many administrative tasks to do. This is someone who is serving victims of crime 24 hours a day, and admin tasks were sneaking up on her. And she identified chunks of time on most Tuesdays and Thursdays where she now is dedicating that time and building boundaries around it so that she can tackle administrative tasks. And she has already told me after a couple weeks, like the weight has been lifted off her chest. So this is what I hope for you. Find some patterns. You can do that as I'm talking. And then I will give you another 2 minutes. Then I want you to go back over to this spreadsheet here. And you can do this after the workshop. You don't need to get it done right now. But now that you have some chunks of time identified, now take a look at the tasks that you have to do. Are there types of tasks? First of all, is there a pattern? I would suggest you write out a bunch more types of tasks. Identify patterns in how many types of tasks you're seeing and how do they line up with your stress level? And what kind of energy and the lack of interruption do you need to accomplish those tasks? Could you set boundaries around those times? Could you grab a friend and do some co-working or check on YouTube? That's what I do to see if people are leading sprints so that you can also sprint to get something done. So when people are saying, in our results, right, from the productivity questionnaire, I procrastinate, I do other types of chores or side quests when I'm seeing spreadsheets. Yeah, I mean, sure. I could maybe provide that an actual spreadsheet. So, sorry, that just made me, I'm like, oh, I should make a spreadsheet for everybody. So, yeah, there are ways that you could sprint during those times, set boundaries around them so that you can protect. Like, then if you're identifying, here's a time where I could probably protect my creative energy by one, knowing that this is a time where I could get creative tasks done, or here are times where I could get all this other stuff done. Maybe life responsibilities, work projects, admin projects. You know what? I've been doing all these admin projects when I have a high amount of energy and low interruptions. That would be a great time where my mind could be clear to write. So what if I move some of the admin stuff to when I have lower energy? Because there's a lot of admin stuff and emails I can respond to when I have low energy and they don't require a lot of brain power. So when we start to identify these patterns, we can protect that creative energy by making space for it. So when I have my list every weekend of lifestyle pain points, like we saw in the questionnaire, and I tackled those specific pain points every weekend, or maybe a 75% rate of weekends, so that they are not interrupting my workflow the rest of the week, because I know that they're handled and taken care of. It's that kind of thing. Clearing space for the times when that creative energy is flowing, and it might just make it so that we don't have so much weighing and like competing for that time. Those side quests are resolved. They're taken care of. And so now maybe we can engage more in that. And then, what I was going to say is people were saying that what they want, what they experience is if they have a clear plan and they have tasks laid out for them, then they can attack those tasks and get them done pretty easily. This is what can help with that. This can be a plan that can create a plan for you and maybe just ease the burden a little bit. And then what I have found as I have followed these steps is when I'm spending my time doing what's important to me and the other things are basically handled, I experience far less burnout. I'm not so stuck in survival mode. Survival mode doesn't just magically go away, but it is no longer my norm. And I think that that's a win. Oh man, we are already running out of time. I have 4 more minutes before I need to do, I need to allow for Q&A, and I'm seeing all of your comments and I want to talk to you about them. Okay. So you just have a few tools right now, but I think that they can help you get started and have a plan for when survival mode inevitably creeps back in. Especially when you start to try to break free from it, it's like, no, I'm not going to let go of you. I'm going to try and clamp down and ramp back up. And then there are times, like we talked about at the very beginning, where you just have to deal with a situation that's right in front of you. And you have a big life change, and that pushes you into survival mode, but you don't have to stay stuck there. So these tools that I gave you, you can use them to reassess at any moment of life, your energy, your tasks, interruptions, and then make another plan to regain a little bit of control. And you don't have to wait until everything is perfect. Like I mentioned to you, this is just a little bit of the full workshop. I have an online course that is forthcoming in July, and it is going to build on everything that we did here today, but it's even more activities. It's more tools. It will come with a workbook where you can dive way more into all of this. It is a deep dive into your reality and circumstances in the context of productivity, getting very real about your tasks, thinking differently about your time and energy. There's even more analysis to tasks than what we did here today. And then we practice thoughtful planning skills and develop a realistic plan for tackling life's responsibilities. So if you're interested, here's what people say. This is not to be like, because I'm so freaking awesome. This is because legitimately people were like, hey, you really helped me with your workshop. And I was like, wow, really? I presumed that my workshop would be helpful for people, but I'm actually really glad to hear that people say it's like it flipped a switch for them, that it helped them see their job differently. It's no longer a scramble, white knuckling it every single day, that they understand what needs to happen. They feel more confident and they're actually noticing their accomplishments. So there you go. Just a few words that people have said. So once again, before we go into 5 minutes of Q&A, Margaret, I'm seeing all your nice comments. You guys are awesome. You're freaking awesome. Just remember that if you complete that sustainable productivity questionnaire linked below, and I'm sure Sam has put it in the chat because she's great, that you opt into my monthly newsletter by the end of AWC today, then you'll be entered into a drawing to win the aforementioned sustainable productivity online course, and then a 1-hour coaching session with little old me to tailor a sustainable productivity plan for you. And then this week through July 5th, you get an additional $15 discount on all of my online courses. There's one I wanted to point out. For those of you who said that grocery shopping and nutrition were important to you, just check out my mega meal prep course. That is the first thing that I ever developed for myself, preparing and freezing at least 1 month of meals in one weekend. It is a thorough course with videos and a workbook. If that sounds interesting to you, that might be breakfast, lunch, and dinner for a month, but it might just be dinners for a month. What I found was it gave me so much. It saved me so much time. I would grocery shop, meal plan, cook, and clean up so many meals for a month. And then when people were like, I don't believe you, I was like, well, then go ahead and try it. And now they're all like, gosh, I invested in a bigger freezer for all that. Okay, I need to do Q&A now. Shush me. Enter code AWC 2025. If you're interested, go to the link and check it out. Q&A time. Oh no. Does anybody have any questions for me? Boy, I wish that I could talk to you in person and get your ideas. I know that you have all been posting interesting thoughts throughout. I've tried to respond to them. Let's see here. Andy said burnout is a major issue for sure. Yeah, we were talking about how so many people are talking about it just during AWC. Shush. Yes. Did I shush myself? Shush, Melissa. It's time for Q&A. Let me scroll back up. Oh, hi, Jocelyn. Hello, Jocelyn. Got to break out of survival mode. Yeah. And so that it's just no longer this norm that that rules over everything. Let's see here. I like these steps, but I need to do the tracker. Okay, right. So Margaret brings up a good point. If you do the questionnaire, then I will send you, and you do not have to opt into my newsletter for this. I will send you my creative productivity starter kit, which has these trackers. So like, for example, where you were kind of guessing what your energy flow might be throughout the day to day, there'll be a tracker so that you can actually keep an eye on that and know that you are correctly analyzing your energy flow, which is also helpful. Like I talked about, my energy flow changed just here in the last couple of months, and things felt super clunky. And so then when I started really tracking that just mentally, and then finally got myself to write it all down, then I'm like, oh, well, lo and behold, my energy levels have changed. Let's see here. Oh, Jocelyn says I need this chart. Jocelyn's the downloadables. So if you check out the description for in the YouTube box below and clicked print the downloadables, then you will get the chart. It will be all yours. Is there anything that can't be a spreadsheet? No, I love a spreadsheet. Let's see here. Are you all wanting? This looks like it could be a spreadsheet. Is it a spreadsheet? Now, what I gave you there was constructed out of a spreadsheet. It is not currently in a spreadsheet format that's available to you, but I could potentially add that to the Creative Productivity Starter Kit. I can look at that. Did you already talk about how to balance other people? So not as much because we didn't have a whole lot of time. But if you go to that, I really think that the chart that we were talking about, let's see here. Oh no, I'm out of time. If you get that, the task analysis chart that is with the downloadables, and you also look at that energy flow and you think about these kinds of interruptions. Some of the interruptions that we get throughout the day are not emails. It's the people that we love the most. But if you think about when maybe those individuals need you the most and when they don't, and if there are any patterns there or patterns that can shift, then you can start to find out like, where maybe you have chunks of time where you can balance making sure that the people you love are taken care of with making sure that your needs are taken care of. And in the Mega Meal Prep course, I have a big chart. This is just not really a part of this workshop today. But I have a big analysis for exactly what you're talking about and a brainstorming worksheet for that kind of thing. So, yeah, so I don't have that included here, but I'll think about that, Eloise. But if you're interested, that is in the workbook for the Mega Meal Prep course. Might not seem related, but I'm like, how do you make time to cook a month's worth of meals in a weekend when you got, for example, a spouse and or kids that need something. Oh man, I'm out of time. Oh, Leon, sorry I didn't get to your question. If you don't produce in silence, then everything about sustainable productivity is knowing yourself. If none of this works for you and you thrive in chaos and you've got something that works for you, then you do it. I'm not going to tell somebody who is already thriving and knows what works for them that they got to change it. If it's working for you, then that's awesome. And I think that's awesome. That's great. Thank you for mentioning that. I'm glad that you gave me the opportunity to speak to that. Oh boy, I gotta end, you guys. Let's see here. Thank you to everybody who participated today. So thankful for you. Oh boy. So thankful for everyone. And I guess I do have one last slide that says thank you. All right. Enjoy the rest of AWC, everyone.